Oh well. Ironically, I had just decided that today's topic was going to be the fuck it button. And when you should and shouldn't hit the fuck it button. Um, so, I hit the fuck it button a couple of times this morning already. One, because as you can see, the lighting is not the way I normally set it up so that you can see my whole face. So I hit the fuck it button for lighting. Come to think of it, I think I'm just going to... Let's see if I can reach that. There we are. There's human ingenuity for you. Use a broom to turn on the switch. Anyway, the other part of the fuck it button, of course, being that I didn't move the camera and everything else back to where it was. And, excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway, as I was saying, hang on. Just had to clear my nose. Not quite sure what caused that coughing fit. Probably just clearing out the rest of the crap left over from when I was ill. I'm feeling much better now. Anyway, so I hit the fuck it button a couple of times. One, when I decided not to move the camera, because fuck it. Nobody really minds that much about the lighting. Two, when I said fuck it and grabbed the broom and turned on the light, so it actually did look a bit better. And then three, I had just lit my cigarette and didn't bother to do the tap 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 thing, so that doesn't really work. There you go. There's your tap. But the phrase hitting the fuck it button is generally an addictions thing. Though you might have heard it in the Deadpool movie, the first one. Actually, no. They talk about getting to a point where you hit fuck it, but not the fuck it button. I've talked actually probably yesterday about slips and slides and relapses, things like that. And with addictions, one of the things that you will have happen is that you will slip. Same thing happens in a diet where someone cheats a little bit and thinks, oh, well, I've screwed my diet, so screw the diet. They hit the fuck it button. And the same thing happens with people trying to recover from addictions, especially any drug that you have to taper off of for medical safety. You'll see people, drinkers are bad for this as well, where they'll stop drinking. Actually, yeah, it happens with any drug, come to think of it, or any practice that you haven't turned into a habit. Let's see. Yeah, we'll use alcohol for the sake of simplicity and fair universality. But when you hit a slip, say someone offers you a drink at a party or just at a get together, or you just happen to go over to someone's house and you have no excuse not to have a drink, you might go, yeah, okay, I'll have one. And maybe that's your limit. Maybe you imposed a 1 drink limit or a 2 drink limit on yourself in order to control your usage. I've done that. I make no bones about the fact that I'm a recovering alcoholic and addict. And I put a very firm 2 drink max on myself. Because that 3rd drink always leads, for me, to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. But, and it's worked for me for well over a decade. And I've also got into the habit of avoiding putting myself in situations where I would want to drink, or to binge drink, I should say. But there are points with any addict or anyone trying to change habits, even, where you will break the pattern you're trying to set, and then out of frustration with yourself, or um, perhaps a lack of commitment to what you're doing, a lack of discipline, what have you. And this is not to say you're a bad person because you lack this. Discipline needs to be built. So be aware of that first. You have to build discipline the same way you build respect, or you build a relationship, or you build anything else. It all takes time. And yes, I realize I smoke one addiction at a time. Give me a break. But what will happen is you will have a moment or moments where something occurs that makes you break the habit you're trying to build. And rather than accept that you've slipped and you have to start again a few steps back, quite often, for whatever reason, and it may be the feast or famine instinct with humans, that fear of starvation or starvation prevention thing that humans developed way before we were conscious creatures. That mechanism might be responsible for it as well. And there's certainly actual psychology involved, all sorts of other issues. But what happens is people will smack the FckIt button and basically go right back to where they were. And some of that can be because of shame. Some of that can be because of frustration. Some of it can be because of some psychological issue that hasn't been properly dealt with. There's any number of reasons to hit the FckIt button. There's always a good reason not to, because you're throwing away progress. You're taking you're taking something away from your future self. And while a lot of people seem to have gotten into the hedonistic, oh, I'm living for now, I'm living for pleasure, I'm living for myself in this moment sort of mindset, yeah, the problem is tomorrow comes, and tomorrow always comes. And then you have to look back, feel bad. Now, sorry, let me rephrase. It's not you. It's that guy in the future who has to look back and go, geez, I fucked up. I feel really bad. What am I going to do? And then he's going, what you're doing is pushing your problem off onto you later, which really is someone else. And while I'm an atheist, there are certain concepts that are very, very useful from religion. Sin occasionally is one of those. Now, I don't necessarily see covetousness as a sin. I see covetousness. There's a difference between covetousness and greed. Greed is when you have enough, but you still want more. Covetousness is when you see something better than what you have, and you want to work for it, as opposed to take it from whoever's got it. That's where the difference comes in. And for me, one of the few things that I think of as a sin is taking something from your future self. In much the same way that a father who gambles is taking something from his kids. We are the product of our present selves. Or, wait, our future selves are the product of our present selves. I'm going to have to do some sort of seminar on this. Excuse me. But when you hit the FckIt button, what you are doing is robbing your future self of accomplishment. At least, or delaying their sense of accomplishment. And that really should be considered as a sin. Because what you're doing is harmful, it's hurtful, and can be, depending on how bad things go, extremely traumatic for the person you're going to be. And one of the things I did when I was trying to break my addictions was to do what I could to keep my future self in mind. To think, well, part of it also is it's connected to that idea of appreciating your small victories. When you appreciate a small victory that you've already accomplished, then you're able to envision what your future self will feel when you have a greater victory, more time sober, more time exercising, you name it. All these sorts of things, you really owe it to your future self to be a better person now, when you can, where you can, how you can. And robbing from your future self is akin to wasting your grandparent or your grandchild's inheritance, things like that, or your child's inheritance. And I think it's important to realize that what we do now is something that will affect our future self. And it may very well be helpful to think of your future self as someone else. Because a lot of the times people will do things for others that they aren't willing to do for themselves. How many people do you know from high school who were absolute wild childs? And the moment they had a child, that all switched. They started living for that child. It's the same concept. To cough. So, when we take things away from our future selves, we are in fact damaging our present self as well, but we're doing more damage to our future self because we're slowing down their ability to enjoy progress. Or delaying it, rather, not slowing it down. But I think, myself, that the best way to the best way to work on an addiction is with the idea, or any habit you want to build, is to keep in mind, at least part of the time, and not necessarily primarily, but keep in mind that your future self is going to thank you for this. I know for a fact that if my previous self had not gone, okay, this shit needs to end, I need to start doing something very different, then I wouldn't be able to look back and go, thank you to that guy. After all, he's the one who took the courageous step. I'm just carrying it on. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Didn't expect to make anything quite this deep today. But, yeah. So, go out there. Do something good for your future self. Do something good for your present self. And hopefully you all have a good day. Okay, take it easy. Love you all. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.